Okay. Orange, you glad?
Orange, you glad I did say banana?
And there's a headset there.
We have Stern, where you're a little removed from the host.
Oh, you feel removed from me?
I'm literally removed from you. I don't know. That's it. Actually, I understand the distinction. I don't feel removed from you, but I'm not like
in the same
next
shot
to you.
In the same shot.
This is coming off wrong. I don't have a feeling like this is bad or needs fixing.
No, you just made a point.
I am other than you guys. It's like, not to be weird, but it's like that's like the wedding. That's like the couple's table, and I'm a guest at the wedding.
As opposed to what? Like what other podcast?
I would be at the table with you. What do you?
His podcast.
Have you guys seen another podcast? As opposed to what? With full, almost 40 attitude. Sorry, as opposed to what?
Do you want?
How about inviting me to the same table you guys are at?
Do you want to?
I
feel like a specimen. No.
Do you want to pull up a chair?
I want to riff on my complaint.
Okay, go.
Go ahead. You want us to start the show?
Howie
You should have been rolling on that,
Just
too.
a little to your left, both of you.
To the left.
Just a little.
Just to get further from Pete, right?
That's it.
Exactly.
Okay, are we far enough? And is he far enough removed?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Then start the fucking show.
I don't like my outfit.
What?
I think I don't like my outfit.
Then nobody's looking at you. They're looking at him. He's on another show. I love the fact that that's your Pete. Oh, I'm Howie Mandel. This is Howie Mandel Does Stuff. Who are you?
Jackelyn Shultz's daughter.
You're my daughter. And Pete Holmes, a very funny.
Sounded like you said Jackelyn Shultz's daughter.
I'm Jackelyn Shultz, his daughter.
Okay, I'm sorry I keep giving you guff. I've given you a lot of off-air guff, and now you're getting some on-air guff.
No guff.
Just a wee
I haven't
bit of
heard
guff.
that word guff in a long time.
What did I say? Draw ire. I said that to my wife. My wife is a very smart person, but I said, I don't want to put that on the internet. I don't want to draw ire. And she goes, what does that mean? I go, guff.
Shenanigans.
Shenanigans. I don't want to pull in unwanted shenanigans.
Do you think you get unwanted? Do you get a lot of unwanted shenanigans online?
I wouldn't know. I used to have a joke. Maybe I thought you'd like. I go, if I'm canceled, just don't tell me. I just want to walk around like an idiot. Like people are like, "Fuck you." I'm like, "Nice to see a fan." Like I just want to live in ignorance because I don't read comments and I'm not.
But you post.
I post and ghost, baby. I don't post. My wonderful social person, Jake.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
Why?
Because I think that people who are Pete Holmes fans want to think that what they're seeing has been curated.
It is curated
and watch.
I'm just not going in there. I'll wrap it up. I'll trim it. I'll edit it. I'll make sure the captions are right. I'll approve it. I make sure it looks great. Wonderful post. And then I give it to Jake.
That's a good impression.
Very good. Do I have talent? America's Got Tendinitis. I love the show. Hit the button. Sharon. Is it Sharon? Who's on your show?
Boy, you are.
You really don't watch
really
anything.
Are removed
Not
from...
only your comments. You watch nothing.
How's being involved working out for you guys?
We just did a whole episode on the hate that we get. We get a lot of hate.
A lot of hate.
A lot of hate.
People don't like your goatee. It's actually not a goatee. That's a half beard. A goatee
No one has said that. You're the first one to say that you don't like it.
That I don't.
Yeah.
Does he get that a lot?
Nope.
Isn't that a Van Dyke?
What?
No, yeah, that's not what you have is not a goatee. It's actually it's like a half beard or it's a goatee is just the goat because goats have them. That's why it's called a goatee.
Don't
say I've dragged the show right to a halt.
No, you didn't. You know what I think this is?
What is it?
This is if you were to spread nair around your mouth.
Yes.
And went down on a woman.
And
then you came up, this is what would happen.
Oh, I see.
It's hair removal.
You could also just say like ate a pizza with no hands, but you went right to cunniling.
Well, but why, if you ate a pizza with no hands, why would you have hair all around your mouth?
You don't get hair pizza?
Hair pie, which is the same thing.
Hair pie has got to be one of the worst. I have a joke right now about how I
don't give me that guff.
What?
Go ahead.
Shenanigans, tomfoolery?
Yes.
Twat, I feel like, is coming back. Yes. As a funny word.
Twat has been back.
You think it's been back?
It's been back.
You think twat has been hot?
It's for a while now. It's going out.
I agree with you, but like, what do you mean? Like a year, right? 2 years?
Maybe 2 or 3. But it's not like coming back. It's been back and now it's going back out.
I'm going to agree with you.
Okay.
But there was a time when
Thank
twat.
you.
like a politician. I'm being told I can agree with you. But I'm excited that we both noticed that there was a long decade where twat wasn't funny. It was kind of it was wrong. We didn't like it. And now twat has had a nice little heyday. But I'm hearing from you that it's on the way out.
And I know.
Can twat have a heyday?
Twat having a heyday. Yeah.
You were going to say something and I interrupted, which is a problem. And I've noticed in the comments.
Oh, see, why are you reading those? We can go back to that. I'm all for some engagement with your fans and your friends, but like, look, you upset people. Like, if somebody's upset, they're gonna go on there. If somebody loves it, they're not gonna go on there. Look. I get the same thing is what I'm saying. I'm the kind of interviewer that likes to interrupt. I like to interject. I go, if you want a straight interview, listen to them on someone else's show. If you want to see what it's like, they're popcorn and we're crackling and we're zinging and we're zagging and all this sort of fun stuff. You want to see what it's like to talk to me? Listen to my show. You want NPR? Listen to NPR. This isn't NPR. This isn't an interview. This is a moment with me. And that's the show.
Right.
But look, if you don't like it, I completely understand.
Right.
But the people that don't like it are going to comment that they didn't like it. But the people that do like it aren't going to go on and be like, I like the way that Howie Mandel's mind works. Why would they do that? They already like it.
This is the one place where you could talk twat with my daughter.
Talk twat with my daughter one more time, I swear to God. Turned into Bill Burr. I swear to God.
That is Bill Burr.
Bill Burr being tortured.
I didn't know you do impressions.
I do impressions. I like to. I mean,
Are they part of your act? What are you doing? What are you doing?
it's hot in this
Oh,
motherfucker.
okay.
We
I
have
thought
a
you were
lot
going
of
to show us
lighting.
your nipples.
My
guys
dad's been working on lighting,
I wouldn't show you.
camera shit.
Do we have good lighting? See, that's another thing. I was once. Are you involved? Well, you're not online.
I am online. I'm online.
Are you involved?
I'm online.
Do you know?
Howie, I'm online. Is there really a line? Where is the line? You cross the line, you end up online.
This is the
You're
first
canceled.
episode where you're not the one interrupting.
That's right,
I
baby.
love that.
I came here to take over. Please watch my special. It's on Netflix.
Do you have a new special now?
It's semi-new. It's been less than a year. That's still new, right?
That is still new.
Yeah. What was your question? I'm sorry.
No, that's it. Is it? Do you have a new? Do you have a new?
Yeah.
You are asking if he watches pop culture stuff, like reality shows.
Absolutely not.
Why? You don't watch
You know
anything.
Scandival?
How's that working for you guys? Like, how's your anxiety level? How's your dread? How's your despondency?
I feel like I have less anxiety when I watch reality shows.
If they're fucking up, I feel like our life is okay.
If it's working for you. That's the most condescending thing I can
What?
say.
Yeah.
If it's working for you, keep doing it.
Dr. Phil always says that.
Can I
He used
say-
to say, how's that working
Just
for you?
because you're round and with a red dot in the middle doesn't mean you are a bullseye.
You're amazing. You're great. You are so fucking funny.
Oh, thanks, man. What would he say? Next. He's not nice. He's the not nice one still?
No, my dad is the not nice one. He's nice now.
Are you really not the nice one?
Yeah.
That's what they say.
He
No
switched
disrespect.
spots.
I'm aware of you.
Yeah, I know.
And actually,
Me and Sharon go to work each and every day.
is it Sharon?
No.
She's not.
Sharon
she
is
hasn't been on for how many years?
3 casts ago.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's
I'm one of those. I get AGT when it's like somebody who absolutely goes viral. It'll come.
most
across.
people do. You know, like now on television we get
It's so weird.
What?
It's just weird that you're playing with your small hands.
I like it. I have a
carry these
daughter,
with
and
me.
I'm like, oh, I hope I'm close and laugh with my daughter. This is very cute.
this made you
Well, just that she kind of took them from you, that she's not afraid of you.
and told me that I was an
And
idiot.
she said you're an idiot. That means she's a bonded, she's a securely attached child.
She's been
I know you're a grown woman. I just mean like clearly you did an okay job.
yeah, but there
I'm
were-
more of a Bobby's World guy. Bobby's World.
That's the last time you watched anything he did.
Beautiful world. And I used to Howie, I'd like to ask you this actually, because I you know where I first saw you was it was Bobby's World. But then I was one of those guys that as soon as I found out comedy was a thing, I like went to the library and all the video stores. It was hard to find stand-up comedy, and I'd buy. It was like pay dirt if I found Evening at the Improvs.
Oh,
and
wow.
that's where I first saw you. And here's what it is. What's funny is it's you doing the rubber glove routine, and I'm like, that's interesting, man. As a business model, they took your best, not your best bit, but kind of your most famous thing. And there it is, just 3 minutes on a video that they were selling, and I'm sure you weren't really paid for that.
No.
Right?
No, I didn't get anything.
That's now as a comedian for the past 20 plus years, I'm kind of like, that kind of sucks, right?
No.
No.
And I'll tell you why. Because as a business model,
Exposure.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
So because of that, I can sell a ticket
Yeah.
that I probably couldn't have sold if they didn't put it on that video.
I'm going to go back and disagree with myself because isn't that what Instagram is? It's all free. It's all our best stuff. We're just putting it out there because what really matters is amassing people that'll come out and see you when you do a show. So yeah, I take it back.
In fact, I'm not making a fortune doing this.
This podcast.
No. But
How much?
do I make?
Zero. The $25
Do we
that
even
we're lucky enough to
do we
get.
even have a sponsor on this episode? I don't even think we have a sponsor.
No, we might.
No.
We might.
No.
You have no idea when this is coming out. We might. Who knows?
But right
you go
now,
through an ad sales company? Or you sell your
sometimes.
own?
No. Actually.
Sometimes I don't go through an ad sales company, but sometimes like I found these guys. See this shirt?
Yeah.
I found these guys who it's a company called Man Made.
Okay.
Do you think I look good?
It looks like a human T-shirt. Is that what you mean?
But I found these guys online. They're
opposed to-
Canadians, and I love them.
It's just like a nice T-shirt.
And underwear.
Well, it's
and
inexpensive. It's made out of certain fabrics, and
His pants are
I
down.
didn't get the matching. This is
You're
blue.
going-
But anyway, they make the underpants too, and I mentioned that these 4 Canadian guys made underpants and that, and then so they sent me some.
Well-
and now I'm a spokesperson for them.
That's good.
You want underpants? I can give you underpants.
I always love a good underpant, a good shirt, sure.
I'll get you a pair of man-made underpants. Do
I'm-
we have a pair of man-made underpants? What size underpants?
Do
are
they
you?
do they
XL,
chafe or anything?
They don't chafe.
They don't bunch up, and they don't ride up at all.
They told me when I mentioned it to say
Say
that those are true, but I forgot what to say. But
Yeah.
they didn't go.
Go for it. Say it
What do
again.
I love about the underpants, Rich?
You love there's no more chafing, there's no more bunching, and no more riding up. And you often talk about how it feels like a second skin, and
Yeah, it
how you
does.
love the boxer briefs.
I feel like I have a second skin.
I don't know. I don't like that. It makes me
No,
think
no, I'm telling you, it's amazing.
of when you would watch.
Don't disparage.
I won't.
Don't.
I won't.
Don't.
The only riff zone that's out of bounds is the sponsors.
If they're getting paid,
It's true.
I'm getting paid. But even if I wasn't getting paid, I swear to God, I would tell you I was wearing these underpants before I got paid.
I just don't like second skin. It's a little serial killer for me. I don't care.
Oh,
You know
like
what I mean?
Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
Like Ed Gein. Yeah.
You know who that Ed Gein is?
I could get you Modern Mammals. They're a sponsor of they're the shampoo that I like, but you don't have. You
Yeah,
shave
get
your
me
head.
some shampoo.
Yeah, I know. You can
I
use
do.
it on your pubis.
I have. Yeah.
On your pubis.
Do you shampoo pubis? Are you supposed to shampoo the pubis?
Let me ask you this: washcloth? You a washcloth guy? I bet you have a whole thing.
Not only a washcloth, we've been exploring Amazon stores and linking products to Amazon stores. She found reusable, washable toilet
It's
paper.
in there.
Reusable, washable toilet paper?
Yeah.
You mean a towel?
Yes.
You guys are selling T-shirts and towels that have just been rebranded. Pete, I'm going to blow your mind. This T-shirt has a head hole and 2 armholes and a hole for your body at the bottom. It's man-made.
Here.
Oh, my God. Here it is. Yeah, this is just towels, guys.
But read the instructions.
All right. Marley's, Monsters, washable, reusable toilet paper.
Yep.
I used those yesterday.
You know, they used to be a sponsor was Real. They make bamboo toilet paper. I overthrew it. I hit that very nice screen.
Did you hit it there?
You're one of those guys because I did a little research on you, Howie.
Did he just break the screen?
I didn't. I hit it with towels.
What is that?
I hit it with towels. Relax. You're one of those guys. People want to know how much money you have. You know
Really?
that? Yeah. I feel like well, I typed in Howie Mandel. I was just going to go to your Wikipedia, do a little reading,
Right.
just to kind of know.
A deep dive into
You know,
Wikipedia.
it's a nice little cursory overview. I don't know why it was kind of Bill Burr.
It was.
It was a little Bill Burr. Anyway, but you type in Howie Mandel, it goes net worth. That's your first one. Some
Really?
people it's wife. Some people it's, for you.
I have
it's-
a valuable wife. You're happily married now.
I am, yeah. I've been married. I've been with my wife for about 10 years.
Really?
Maybe.
Because your whole thing originally, when I saw you, was you have a first wife, right? You had.
I was, yeah. We did a TV show about
and
that.
that crashing,
Called
right?
Crashing, yep.
Yeah.
And I got married when I was 22.
Oh, I didn't realize you were so young.
Well, the first time.
Yeah.
And then she.
Well, you can't be young the second time.
Yeah. That's not how time works.
You can't do that again.
No.
You could still be young the second time. If you got married at like 18 the first time and then like 20 the next time.
Shit.
I don't. You pick weird battles. I'll say that. Like, it's a strange time to dig your heels in and go against your dad. I don't understand. I don't understand why you did that.
She just wanted to be part of it.
No, I appreciate that. So,
Oh, shut up.
no, that is not what I'm saying. I just thought it was funny and noteworthy that you decided to put your flag there. My wife left me when I was 28 in real life, and then I made a show about that because what happened and what Crashing is about is it's sort of one of my teachers, Richard Rohr, this Franciscan, wrote a book called Falling Upward, which is a wonderful book. And Crashing could have been called Falling Upward because that is the pattern of life. And I know you know this. It's these things you wouldn't want and wouldn't ask for that end up often being the catalyst that push you where you really need to be. As Joseph Campbell said, the treasure you seek is in the cave you're afraid to go into. So I was sort of in the shallow end of comedy. It's not because I was married. It was because I was probably afraid my wife leaves me. So the thing that I thought I couldn't survive, and then I survived. You just do survive. So what happened? What does that mean? You must not be who you thought you were. You must be stronger than you thought you were because
Yes.
here you are. You're still standing. It's one of those things you can
Sage words.
You can
from
be told that, but when you experience
You lived it, and
you
you're
go,
an example of that.
And then you go, what the fuck does the Comedy Cellar got on me? My wife already left. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
You have a shark bite out of your side. You don't care about the piranhas. You're just like, you're already there.
Were you
You're
ever?
into it.
Go ahead.
Did she leave you? I thought you caught her cheating and you.
That's what we
decided-
did on the show. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay.
It's just so much funnier. The reason why you see that in so many movies.
It's so much funnier to catch your wife
It's funnier.
doing somebody else.
Think about it like it is. Like think about Old School, the opening to Old School where Luke Wilson, is it Luke or Owen?
Is it
It's
Owen or Luke?
It's Luke. Luke walks in on his wife. That's a trope in movies is because like the most interesting and engaging way to say or show someone leaving is to have you catch them so you can see the feeling.
That's not what
believe
happened.
it. It's not what happened. My wife sat me down and said, you want to know the story? She goes, she had a list. Poor thing. I really mean that. I'm not just trying to be a good guy. Poor thing. I feel bad for her. She was like, here's what I know for sure. One, I love you. I love you so much.
That's how she opened?
Yeah. The list was called Things I Know for Sure. One, I love you, and I would never want to hurt you. And I'm such a dope. I'm like a golden retriever. I'm 27, 28 at the time. I'm like, okay. I don't know what's going on.
That's almost like saying, I don't mean this in a bad way.
Basically. Yeah. Please, yeah. And she's, she's like shaking reading it. 2, I still don't know what's happening. She goes, number 2, I think was I don't want to be a cheating wife. And I literally went, so don't be.
Right.
I still didn't understand. She was saying she was a cheating wife. And then my third question, I think you'll appreciate this, Howie. I can't tell what you'll appreciate. But as a comic, I go, is it a comedian? That was my first question. And she said no. And I'm not shitting you. We did this on the show. This really happened. I went, you're leaving me for a civilian. That's what I said. Like, I was like, sure, leave me, but at least leave me for someone funnier. Like, how can you be, like, what I wanted to say was, like, you think road trips with normal folks are this fun? You think people keep it this cracking and popping at dinner? Like, we're special comics. We're the best. Like, especially at that time in my life, I was obsessed with comedians and comedy, and I thought she was too. Clearly, she wasn't. She was like, I'll take a normie any day of the week. And
She's still with that normie?
I believe so. Very little online presence. Very little online presence.
Wow.
Do you still communicate with her at all or no?
No, we haven't talked since. I remember the last time I saw her, I was about to go into therapy, and it was very much like a movie. She was like, be good or something like that. And she like kind of gave me this,
I have another list.
Once someone reads a list like that, you're like, I'm done talking to you. I don't need any more lists, any more surprises. Wow. But so then, 10 years later, we made the show because again, this didn't occur to me until way later. But when I had a talk show, I know you had a talk show too, Howie, and I realized I had this kind of come to Jesus moment where I was like, if there is a story that I could tell that's unique, what is it? And that feeling when you're in your life, it just seems so obvious. Like, of course, my parents are like religious and strange Bostonians. And of course, you don't think it's unique because it's you. It's like fish going, what the hell is water?
Right.
finally I was starting to get the picture. I was like, my parents are nut jobs. My wife left me when I was 28 for another guy, and I said, you're leaving me for civilian. That's weird. Like,
Yes.
I'm the weird one in that story.
Right.
And then I got kicked into the deep end of comedy because I didn't have anything else, and it sort of caught me. And then another point we were trying to make with the show was all these ne'er-do-wells. There's another kind
Ne'er-do-well.
of ruckus word.
Yes.
Ne'er-do-wells and pirates like Artie Lang, like Jim Norton, all these people we had on the show, like real pirates.
Right.
I say that with love. They're not true scoundrels, but they're real,
Yes, they are.
Okay, they're nightclub boys.
Right.
And here comes this Latter-day Saint looking sweet baby.
Right.
But in the strangest way, like Big J. Okerson was like a kind and nurturing presence when my heart was broken. And I think that's way more interesting than, my pastor was also nice, but that's not surprising. It's surprising that a guy in fingerless gloves, chain smoking in front of a comedy club doing twat material also can open up his heart and be like, somebody left me too. I understand. Let me help you get spots. Let me help you lose yourself in your art a little bit and rebuild you.
So, work your magic, buddy. So, this is a commercial.
For Zippix.
Zippix is a great product if you want to have your nicotine fix, but you're in a non-smoking area. You can just use the little Zippix, the toothpick.
It's totally satisfying, it's convenient, it's great tasting, and it's great to curb your cravings for nicotine. These ones, though, aren't nicotine, the one I'm holding, because they're also available in B12 and caffeine toothpicks, which I love, to boost your energy. So not just for the people that want to curb their nicotine cravings, but those are great too.
Well, imagine if you're on a flight and you can't smoke, or you're in a movie, you're getting your fixes of whatever it is that you need with a simple little
Toothpick.
Isn't that great?
And they've already helped tens of thousands of customers get their nicotine fix without needing to inhale smoke or vape oil. So it is way, way healthier for you and comes in a huge variety of flavors.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do they get it?
So ditch the cigarettes, ditch the vape, and get some nicotine-infused toothpicks at zippixtoothpicks.com today. Get 10% off your first order by using the code Howie10 at checkout. Your lungs will be glad that you did. You must be 21 or older to order. Warning, nicotine is an addictive chemical. Zip more, smoke less with Zippix nicotine toothpicks.
Back to the show. In sitting here talking to you and listening to this, you're an amazing storyteller. You're a raconteur. I'm trying to think of words in the same era.
I like it. I like it. Well, I appreciate that, man.
No, but you are, and I know that, as you alluded to, you grew up incredibly religious.
Yeah.
And you wanted
Don't be religious. No rule. I can't really do him. No rule. I just have to think I'm better than you, and then
Bill. That was Bill Maher.
That's
for
how I
those that
channel
don't know. Yes.
No rule.
Yes.
Can't do it.
But and you wanted to be, or were you a youth pastor? Are you a pastor?
No, I do think comedy is ministry, not religious ministry. I think it ministers to people, so in a very loose way.
My son, who just walked in, is an ordained minister.
Well, I would relate with him hard. I get
So he just did it for parking.
He did it to marry me.
He married his sister. Well, that sounds.
Well. You know the feeling.
Officiated.
Officiated my
Marry
wedding.
my sister.
Officiated is the way.
In a penguin costume.
Oh, cute.
Yeah.
It was.
But you know the feeling. It's like, and somebody who can, I listened to you on Conan's podcast on the way down, and a lot of people.
Wikipedia and Conan are your references to me.
Do a lot of guests do research to be your
none.
guest?
I do none even.
This is above and beyond.
It is. You did more research
For you.
on me than I did on you.
Well, I find if you don't, it can kick you in the butt because you can't assume that somebody's going to care about you. So at least I can talk about you.
Okay,
You know
go
what I'm
ahead.
saying?
Go ahead.
But you know the feeling when you're on stage and you can't shut your brain off. By the way, everybody has that feeling, just to certain different degrees. Meaning, we don't think our thoughts are kind of like thinking us. So we're looking for refuge, you know, and I'm not even joking. It might be reality TV. There are a lot of things we can do to take our minds off of it. It might be rock climbing. Stand-up is really interesting because both parties are getting that service, getting that ministry, meaning I'm losing myself in the flow of a moment by moment decision tree of
But you're,
delights.
you know,
and the audience is being relieved too.
I feel that when I watch you, and I am really interested in you because you are, you know, I've talked to Bill Burr, and I'm talking to him again today.
Dads, check it out, Netflix. I'm serious.
But he's one of these, and Orny Adams and people like that who are.
Oh, sorry. There's Orny.
That's Orny, who are ranters.
I really appreciate that. You think I'm a ranter?
I do, but I think, but you have your own lane where it's not an angry rant.
Yeah.
It's a sweet,
Yeah.
relatable, obscure sometimes.
Yeah.
Relatable.
Yeah.
But it's what?
Nothing.
No, go ahead.
Again, weird battle. I heard it too.
What did you say?
You said relatable twice. Who cares?
It doesn't matter. I just like pointing shit out.
Yeah. For the
Sorry,
listeners, somebody went.
No.
Thank you when you did
It's because
that.
he does it to me all the time. So
Yeah.
I'll just point out when
I like your rants.
Jacqueline's Revenge is
Sorry.
the
That's
true
what
name
I'm
of
here
this
for.
That's the name
podcast.
of the podcast. But
No, you know what I call those as a comic? I call them shotgun bits, meaning there's certain jokes that are just like big, lot of points, lot of feeling. And the thing I like about those jokes is you don't have to like memorize them. It's sort of how I write these days is you know recognize a big feeling that you have that you could call a rant.
Right.
Meaning you don't have to go on stage and like try to remember how you feel. Now, having done comedy for 20 years, if I'm talking to you and I realize I have a strong feeling about Q-tips, that's when I go, just talk about Q-tips on stage. Just bring that on stage, and that's where that leads to. But Orny and Bill are two of my favorites. So I
But
appreciate
as
that.
opposed to Jerry Seinfeld, who is a word crafter.
Yeah.
And like every word is.
Yes, I'm obsessed with Seinfeld, and I wouldn't say I disagree with him. I would say what he does is perfect for him.
Right.
And what I do works for me. And so I started really trying to be Seinfeld.
Really?
The first 10 years I was really doing, one of my early bits was I was looking at an ice pack, this is true, and it said on the ice pack, a bittering agent has been added to the contents to discourage consumption. I love that because apparently before the ice packs were too delicious, right? That's Seinfeld. It's like,
It is.
because apparently before it's music, you could write that out with the rests and the double notes. The ice packs were too delicious. Like that's how I did.
Right.
I had a joke where it goes, falling rocks is my favorite road sign. Because what are we supposed to do? Slow down, speed up? Nah, just get ready. Like that was, I changed get ready later to brace yourself. Like, it's not a great joke, but you can see
is.
how I was Seinfeld. And then when I heard about Bill Burr, I was very lucky in my early career. My friend Dan Kaufman, when he was working the road and he couldn't do it, he would give it to some of the other guys in the scene. And the dates that he gave it to me, like let me be the middle, were Jim Gaffigan and Bill Burr. Two literal like stadium comedians.
Right.
So I lucked out big time. Worked with Bill Burr in Peoria in the early 2000s. And I got exposed to a guy that was doing what I'm doing now, which is going on stage with a feeling, like something that's like your pilot light is lit on this topic and talk about it. And what I like about that is it forces, you can't fake it. Bono has this great line where he goes, if I'm not feeling it, I can't hit the note. Same thing with these types of jokes. If I'm not connected securely with the audience and engaged and remembering why I thought it was funny the first time, the joke won't work. But what makes that magic is you can't really steal my stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
But that's what I'm saying.
someone else doing it, like I'm with you. Like if you go like, what is funny about this? Some of my jokes, I'm like, I agree. What's funny is how I'm doing it.
It is, because I think that you find it's like incredibly sweet and likable. Not that those guys aren't. I love Bill.
Yeah.
You know, and I've had Bill on here a couple of times. But the overriding mood could be anger or, you know, it's not anger, but it's frustration.
It's
frustration with those
Yeah.
guys. And
Yeah.
with you, there's kind of a warm kind of, even though you're ranting, it's I can't do you, but you're really pleasant and wonderful.
Oh, I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I called my second HBO special is called Dirty Clean, is because I'm dirty, but people think I'm clean.
I thought you were the Christian comic when I first heard about you.
That's what I mean, and that's great. I could.
Were you?
No, I
Didn't you do the circuit, the Christian circuit?
No, that's on my Wikipedia, and it shouldn't be. I don't mind that it is.
Why is it there?
Because
that's the only thing I look at. Why? Who put misinformation in my?
I think I read that to you too.
Oh,
I think I read it to you.
God, I
Sorry,
spend.
I'm fucking with this whole podcast.
I
I'm fucking with
spend
you.
4 minutes of my important time going through Wikipedia to take care of a guest.
That's right.
And I've got misinformed, but you're not
I
Christian.
also learned about your influences on Wikipedia.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
but let
he's
him
not
answer.
on it.
Let
Okay.
him answer the.
You know what you made me remember, which might be more fun? I will get to the Christian circuit thing, which won't be that fun. It'll be mildly fun. I'm letting everyone know how much fun to expect.
Well, set the bar low, and then you're surprising people.
There you go. You figured out show business. The first time I realized I could rant, because it was all ice pack stuff. I had a joke about RoboCop in my early days where I go, RoboCop, what kind of an abbreviation for robot is robo? You're really saving a lot of time dropping that T? And I had an act out. I go, there he is, robot cop. Get him. They got away.
Because he used the T.
Because of the T. But then the first time, and I remember my friend Leo Allen, great writer, great comic, he saw me do this joke, and he saw me. He goes like, that's you. And I go, I love that there's a berry called boysenberry. You know, there's two kinds of berries, regular berries and poison berries. And we named one of the regular berries boysenberry. And I'm like getting real. And he told me, he was like, it's not what you're saying. It's like, it's absurd that you're using your time on stage to say that.
Yes.
And to say it with importance, with urgency.
Yes.
I was like, that's one sound away from a terrible camping accident.
Right.
It's like calling it banthrax berries. Oh, delicious banthrax. Like just, spitting and foaming at the mouth. That's when I realized I could be a rant comic. And it's so much more fun. Because to me, comedy is about picking one side and really, really digging in when everyone knows the subtleties and that's the rest of life.
Is that in your real life too? Like, is that how you converse sometimes with your...
For fun.
Yes.
I would say, in my full self-love, I would say, if I'm being that way, you're welcome. What fun. What fun that I'm going to be like, fuck jelly! Peanut butter's the headliner! Like, that's so much funnier than being like, they need each other. There's the peanut butter, which is kind of savory. Get out of here. We did that on my talk show. It's one of the monologues I'm the most proud of. It was called Pick a Side or something. Like, just for the sake of life. Life is long and boring. It's so mysterious. It's so nebulous is actually a better word.
Right.
Just pick a side. We all know you could argue the other. So the first half of the monologue was called Fuck Cats, I Love Dogs. And then in the middle, I swapped and went Fuck Dogs, I Love Cats. And did it just as passionately. And the point was, it's just fun to pick a side, even though both sides have valid points.
Did you like that process of talk show?
I really loved it, yeah. I'm glad I did it when I did it. I don't know if I'd want to do it. No, I know I wouldn't want to. I'm a dad now and all that sort of stuff.
Takes a lot of time.
When I was in my early 30s, we did 80 episodes, which seemed like so many. And now I just did After Midnight with Taylor Tomlinson, and they're already at 50. It's a new show, and I'm like, oh wow, we didn't do many episodes at all. But what was different about my talk show is we did like movie grade. Like we did the Batman parodies, and our director Oren Brimmer made them look like Nolan movies, and I'm in the suit. And we weren't doing like green screen sketches. We were going on a rooftop at 2 a.m. So it wasn't sustainable for more than 80 episodes.
But you got to do it. What is your favorite thing? Is it stand-up?
I'm fortunate in this way, and I wonder if you relate. When I'm doing stand-up, when I'm not doing stand-up, let's say I'm in a movie or something. The first couple weeks, I'll be like, this is the best. Like I heard you say this on Conan. It's like they put a piece of tape on the ground. They tell you where to stand. They tell you what to say.
Right.
And if you're at all funny, everyone's blown away. Like
Right.
if you're at all funny,
If you
people
can
are
add
like,
something.
what the fuck is happening? Because look, I don't know. I like being a comedian. I consider myself more a comedian than an actor. So I like riffing and being silly. But then so for the first couple weeks of a movie, you're like, this is the best. There's no anxiety. For me, there's what's to be anxious? The scene is 3 lines. You're going to do it 27 times. So there's no line memorization.
But no nerves as to how you're going to be accepted. I know because I did acting for many, many years and still have a little bit. I find it uncomfortable because it's an uncomfortable. Most of the other people aren't comedians.
Yeah.
So that's their world. I feel like I'm in their world. It's not my world. It's
that's interesting.
It's so uncomfortable.
Yeah, I've made the opposite choice, and it's just as arbitrary and also just as untrue. But my decision is I'm a comedian. You guys should all be like, you know what I mean? You should all be asking me how to make your shit funnier. Like that's not arrogance. That's just a survival technique. I could go in and feel small and be like, I don't belong here. But I'm more like, I know how to be funny, and this movie's supposed to be funny. And this character is not that different from me. You know, I'm not doing like a character study where I'm like, this guy touches his eyebrow when he's nervous. I don't really do that kind of acting. I'm just there to delight.
I was listening to Sebastian
Maniscalco.
Oh, that's perfect. But he was talking about like he wrote a movie and De Niro played his father. And I was listening to that and thought I would be very uncomfortable.
I know what you mean. For me, acting is embarrassing and you have to get over it. That to me is the job is getting over. I think it's weird to be talking to a sound guy and you're like, yeah, I'm from Lexington, Massachusetts, like Battle of Lexington. And then they're like, action. And I'm like, oh, like I start crying.
Right.
Like that's what the money is for, is getting over how insane it is. Just on an animal level. Human beings are always looking for who's trustworthy, who's untrustworthy. And it's really weird to just like be fake.
Right.
Like everyone knows you weren't stabbed, but you're like, like that's corny.
What film was that?
That was Home Alone, Home Sweet Home Alone. It was a deleted scene, but my character gets stabbed.
I missed it.
Anyway, to answer your question, when I'm doing a movie, I'm like, this is incredible. And then after a couple of weeks, I really start missing stand-up. So it's this like circle, you know what I mean? I start going like, God, I miss just saying my own things, having no one telling me what to do, blah, blah, blah. So it's like pulling the bowstring back on stand-up. And then when I get to do stand-up again, it feels so good to let the arrow out.
For me, stand-up seems like the most natural, comfortable place in the world because there are no marks to hit. There are no lines that have to be, there's no cut.
Well, you
There's
can
no
address how it's really going. You know what I mean? Like
control.
Like doing a play, and if I'm in a play and I spill my tea on myself, but in the play, that's not scripted. He doesn't do that. So I have to just be like, I remember when Miles was born. Miles was always a fighter, just like his mother. There's a big tea stain dripping down my shirt. You can't address it.
Right.
That's a trap. Stand-up, to me, is the ultimate freedom of being like, if you spill tea or something on you, or if you're feeling a little off, or something's weird with the audience, you have, ultimate authority to call it out. And for kids that didn't feel like their realities were being addressed in a real way, it's the ultimate.
It's funny that you should say that because that's what I tell. I want comedy to do better on America's Got Talent. And it's a hard, people, it's very subjective, number one. Number two, visually, it doesn't look like the guy who just was hanging upside down 3 stories in the air, lighting himself on fire.
Yeah.
And people don't understand what goes into it, and they may not relate. And I tell every comic that comes on, and they don't, and these are the people that don't, if you are malleable, like you have to have a set piece that you know that you're going, but if something is happening in that moment, you need to address it.
Yeah.
And so many times they don't. And
well, you're asking them to, I 100% agree with you. And the advice really is be undeniably confident and likable. That's your advice.
it is. It is.
No, and when we're at our best, you say that to me and I'm like, transmission received, like I'm there. But sometimes, backstage, you get nervous. It throws you off. The problem, I'm not going to say it's the problem with comedy in that format, in a talent show format, is stand-up is a little bit like someone's breaking in your house. There's a little bit of a trick to it. There's a manipulation to it. And part of what makes the manipulation successful is that I, like magic, help you forget that I'm doing that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I come out on stage and I'm like, blah, 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 blah. But really there's doves in every pocket, living doves in every pocket that I've been grooming and training to delight you. It's absurd. But if you say this guy's going to come out and do comedy, I'll give an example. I like doing impressions, but you notice every time I've done an impression, it was my idea, right?
Right.
Key. When I did After Midnight the other day, it was just, they were like, what's your competitive strategy? And I was like, well, if I ever feel like I'm losing, I'm just going to do an impression. And then I was just going to go into an impression. But the crowd all cheered. Like, yeah, let's hear the impression. And now it's like, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? The lights go down like, it's like, do your impression. Your vocal cords clam up. I was trying to do Jeff Bridges. It came out terrible because I wasn't in control anymore. So America's Got Talent and other shows like it you're controlling the vibe. A comedian's job is to control the vibe. So to go into a place that is a vibe and become the vibe, very tricky vibe. Tricky vibe.
It is, because they go, obviously it's a network show and you have producers all over your ass saying, okay, open with this, then close with that. That's how the Tonight Show used to be like that. You couldn't be comfortable doing what you do. And we are the only platform of entertainment where people feel like they have license to fuck with us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know if you do corporate gigs. But I do too.
One, yeah.
But you would never hire a musician or a singer and go, listen, don't use any words that start with the letter L.
Yeah.
Don't mention any, they tell you what you can't. You hired me.
Yeah.
Just let me do what I do.
Yeah. I completely understand. But going out and doing that in 3 minutes, I had a thought, but it's gone.
Because I interrupted. That's what I do best on this.
No. It was 2 clicks back. We finished our conversation, but I had like another thing for after this. I didn't do the Christian circuit. How do you like that? That's a podcaster.
Did you grow up Christian?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't, go ahead.
Are you religious? Are you religious now?
I sort of cringe every time I say this. I'm deeply spiritual, but to a comic, I'll say it's tied for comedy. Like my interest in spirituality or living spirit is tied for comedy. That's how important it is to me. But I'm not religious. I don't go to church.
But you grew up every Sunday. I mean, devout.
My church was more fundamentalist than my parents were. But that doesn't really matter. Like they're the ones. They were the authorities. The people at my church, and they were well-meaning, good people. But I took it real serious. So when you tell me that everyone I know is going to hell, I mean, talk about, it's a trauma. If you really believe that.
Yeah.
I wrote this in my book. I wrote a book about it called Comedy, Sex, God. I was like, these people had cars and keys and licenses and money and shiny shoes and khaki. You know what I mean? Like you're a kid and they're telling you, if you don't say this prayer, and what the words we would use is say, let Jesus into your heart and believe that he died for your sins, then you go to a lake of fire for conscious, eternal torment. And then you go, well, how many Buddhists are there? How many Jews are there? How many people died in the Holocaust? How many people never heard about it? So you get into all this absurd. We always used to be like, well, what if you were raised on an island and you never heard about Jesus, and then a coconut hits you, and would be like, well, then you'd still go to heaven because or you know what we used to say?
Did you question that?
Of course,
out loud.
It wasn't questioning. We were looking for how God would still get you, because there's a line in the New Testament that it's basically about how nature is the first Bible, and it would witness to you, and you could still accept or deny it. So it would whisper Jesus to you, essentially. I'm not saying that to put Jesus down. I'm just saying you were still accountable. My friend Rob Bell wrote this book called Love Wins that really changed my life, and he makes a point that really feels like a point a comedian should make. It's called the age of accountability. This is a dark joke. It's his point. It's his joke. But he goes, if before the age of 7, a lot of different churches have something called the age of accountability, meaning if you die before that age, you are not accountable, because you weren't fully formed. You couldn't have made a choice for or against our
That's
God.
what the bar mitzvah is in Judaism.
13?
Yeah,
that
today
what
I
it
am
is?
a man. That's why you say you're a man, because now you're accountable for your transgression.
There's a Jewish joke here about how you negotiated like 5-6 more years.
We
'cause
did.
We're 7.
It's a deal.
You guys were like, I don't know from 7. I think we could do 13. I don't know. Is this voice okay? Anyway, so I'm saying he makes the point. Wouldn't it be more compassionate if we're talking about eternity versus a finite time on earth to kill people then? Before they turn 7.
Right.
By the way, there are mentally ill people that have come to that same conclusion. It's a very dark, literal interpretation. And I started, unraveling. It was all hell that made me unravel. I went to Israel to study for 6 months, all asking rabbis and Christian theologians only about hell. That's all I wanted to know about. But that's what
You were sure you were headed that way. Is that why?
I wanted to know if they really believed it and what they really believed. But we could break it down. They're annihilationists. There's some Christians called annihilationists, which believe the wages of sin is death, not the wages of sin is eternal torment. I hope this is interesting to some of you.
It's interesting to me.
Well, so the Bible, Paul says the wages of sin is death, he doesn't say the wages of sin is hell. So that means you die. But if you believe in Jesus, you go to heaven. So it's like nothing or heaven, but a little bit more compassionate, lights off. Not tortured. There's that. There's, Calvinists, the predetermined ones. It's all been decided ahead of time. There's people who believe in purgatory. You get another chance, all this sort of stuff. But in that questioning, something kind of magical happened was I just started getting involved in spiritual curiosity. And then when my wife left me, and when my model of a God who was protecting me, because I didn't smoke, drink, swear, or have sex before I was married, so I thought I was minted, but here this bad thing happened to me anyway, I was like, what's the deal? You know what I mean? I've said this before, but I felt like I was paying into the mafia to protect me. Someone still burned down my bakery. Like, what? What? I did everything you told me to do. I'm out here saying freck instead of fuck. Isn't that what you want? And still my wife left me. In my feeling at the time, the worst thing that could have happened. So that made me question about what was really going on.
Wow.
Which is actually really interesting. If you consider the main symbol of Christianity is a crucified man. And I'm out here going like, if I believe in God, everything should go my way. The symbol of the faith is a crucified and bleeding out Son of God. That symbol is so powerful to me now because the whole thing is saying me too. God isn't watching your suffering. God is involved in your suffering. God is suffering with you. And I would even radically say, as you. It's your carrying your piece of the mystery that's coming in as suffering with God, not God going like, well, sorry, I didn't mean to preach here today. But
No,
like,
but you should.
I do like talking about it.
I like listening to it, and I find it fascinating.
Do you want to hear my favorite thing?
Yes.
Is your son really a minister, right? I'd love to hear.
He's an ordained minister, and I don't know that he's in it for the right reasons. But he did it online.
He's a back of Rolling Stone minister. Next to the bong ad, there's like,
yeah.
I'll say this as many times as I can. I think it's really interesting that the way that and by the way, I love Jesus. Christ is a huge part of my faith, a huge part of my spirituality. The way that I engage with the mystery is that symbol and that story.
We had Rhett and Link on. Do you know who they are? Rhett and Link?
Yeah, I know Rhett and Link, yeah.
Yeah, do you know that they were raised very devout and then walked away from the church very publicly?
Yeah. No, I don't envy anybody whose faith is part of their public. You know what I mean? It's like something that can be consumed and discussed.
Right.
Anyway.
So what is your favorite thing?
My favorite thing is, meaning a reframing, meaning the more I dug into this, it seemed to have been staring me in the face the whole time. So the way that I was raised was Jesus died for your sins as a sacrifice. So God wants to send you to hell, but instead Jesus will die because you are wicked. You are wicked. This is the original telling. You're a bad person, original sin and all that, but also we're just like lost and broken and horrible things. So Jesus comes and dies, and then we go to heaven through him. And by the way, if that's what you believe, no disrespect. The way that I kind of came around that, because I couldn't reconcile with that, it didn't really make sense. Jesus' closer, as I like to say, his big number. And if you ask a historian, the most historically traceable to Jesus story that he told was the prodigal son. And the prodigal son goes like this. You know the story. there's a boy and his father. His father's not a king, but we can say he's a king. And he asks for his inheritance early because he wants to spend his money. He wants to sow his wild oats. The loving father gives the son his inheritance early. The son then takes that money, goes into town, leaves the kingdom, goes into town. It's not in the text, but basically he wine women and song. And he becomes destitute. And he's broken, and he's working with the pigs. He's broke, he's near death, and he's working with pigs. I'm not trying to be funny here. This is a Jewish audience. Working with pigs is like quadruple canceled. You know what I mean? He's working with swine. He's untouchable. He's disgusting. And he's broken. So what he does in the story is he remembers that he's the son of a king. He just remembers his father. Do you hear the good news? A man doesn't come to him, finds him with the pigs, and says, look, you fucked up. You spent all your inheritance. Look at you. You are filth. Your father is a maniac. He demands blood for what you did. But look, good news. I'll come back to the kingdom with you, and I'll let him murder me. Because we all know he's going to have to murder someone. I'll let him murder me. That's the good news. That's not what the story is. He remembers he's his father's son. It's a recognition. It's a turning around. And when it dawns on him like that, he goes, what am I doing? What am I doing? My father will at least let me be a servant in his kingdom. He'll let me back in. He'll let me have a bedroom. Walks back. Favorite line in the story, my friend Pete Enns pointed this out to me. Before the boy had even reached the kingdom, the father sees him and runs out to meet him. That's how eager this father is to see his son, who's wasted everything. Runs out, hugs him, puts new sandals on his feet, gives him new clothes, says what's lost is found. Slaughter the fattened calf, throw a party. That's how happy he is that his son is back. That, to me, is the whole spiritual mystery wrapped up. And Jesus would agree. And I would summarize it like this. Dad's not mad. We think dad is mad. We're in the pigs. We're broken. I'm not saying we don't make mistakes. I'm not saying we don't feel guilt and shame and all of these things. But the spiritual awakening is turning around, as it were, and remembering who your dad is.
And when you tell this story, which is fascinating and wonderful and mesmerizing, I didn't even want to, I don't want it to end.
Isn't it good?
But it is great. And you kind of have an understanding for it, especially if you're a parent.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because then you have the complete, you give yourself completely to your child.
Yeah.
And, if you believe in a God, if you believe in Jesus, or you believe in the Lord, if that is your belief and you believe that is the Father of all, being a father, you got to believe that that's how it goes.
Well, Jesus uses the father thing kind of more than any other image. And he says, who would give their child a snake when they ask him for bread? Would you give your daughter a snake? It's a joke.
Right.
He's a Jewish teacher. He's funny.
Right.
Would you give him a snake? That's a bit. And it's like, of course not. Why would you make an aspect of yourself to torture or to spite or to shame or to ridicule or to break? It's about the party. It's about coming back. And it's not a mistake to get your inheritance. It's not a mistake to waste your inheritance. I'm going to tell you this other Jesus, my other favorite Jesus. You tell me if this doesn't sound like a parent. Jesus says the kingdom of heaven, meaning like God, meaning like reality, the truth, is like this. It's like there was a rich landowner, a wealthy landowner. If you hear the phrase a wealthy landowner, you know you're reading the Bible. There was a wealthy landowner. He hires 3 guys. I'm paraphrasing, but this is the text. This is the story. First guy shows up at 8 a.m., works until 6 p.m. Second guy shows up at noon, works till 6 p.m. Third guy shows up at 5:15 p.m., does a little work, mostly grab ass, finishes at 6 p.m. They all finish at 6 p.m., start at different times. The wealthy landowner comes back, pays them all the same. That's divine love. It's so loving, we actually hate it. It's actually repulsive to us. But that's how I love my daughter. You know what I mean? It's like you can't divide infinity. You can't be yourself anymore. And what you are is fully accepted.
You know what's
so
weird?
You tell these stories that break your brain. The first guy worked 8 hours.
You know what's weird?
The third guy worked 45 minutes. They both get paid the same. Jesus is trying to say, like, wake up. God doesn't add, subtract, weigh, measure. It's not like that.
So just to bring it around to what we're doing today, Jackie, my co-host, my daughter, showed up an hour before the show.
Yeah.
My son got here, I think 5 minutes after it started.
And
they're
they
getting
both
paid
get
the same.
paid the same.
No, I think he gets paid more.
What does that mean?
Well, that's the patriarchy. That sucks.
I'm just kidding. I have no idea.
You have no idea what?
I have no idea what he gets paid.
I think he just does this out of the goodness of his heart.
Yeah.
There you go.
You are fascinating. You do you we were talking about acting a little.
Yeah.
When you got let's stick. I'm just fascinated by this whole religious talk. Did you have how do you raise your child now?
I don't want to be a spiritual cliche, but my daughter, she's the one doing the teaching right now. When talk about 7, talk about 13, there's a time when you're a child, and I'm not saying my daughter can be like Machine Gun Kelly. She's running around. She's a wild kid. She's big spirited. She's not like, a little toy dog. So she's really a wild kid. But she remembers who she is. There's a point where we start forgetting. That's why the Catholics, I think it's do First Communion at 7, because that, I don't know either. I wasn't raised Catholic, but there's something about the wound that happens around 7, and we're all wounded. There's no avoiding it. It happens, but you could call that getting kicked out of the garden. But my daughter is 5.5. She's still there. If I say to my daughter, what was your favorite part of today? You know what she says. She says, right now.
Right now.
That's the face of the Buddha. And I'm going to teach her? Get the fuck out of here.
I love that. That's beautiful.
It is beautiful. My daughter, put her in the tub, she splashes. The floor is tile, guys. She's right.
You don't do that?
I splash in the tub.
Yeah, I do too.
But
I won't take a bath.
I'm all for teaching her, but like, there's something about we're fascinated by children, by babies especially, because I think they still know themselves to be awareness. They don't even really know that they're their bodies yet. That's why they need our help. And if you want to take this to the next level, that's spirituality in a nutshell, is recognizing that you'll like this as an anxious. You're not your thoughts. You're the witnessing presence.
Pete, I got to say that, I've always found you incredibly entertaining and funny and talented, but today I learned a new depth. No, I did. I'm not being facetious.
Well, I appreciate you letting me say that. I yell this stuff as much as I can because I remember on my own podcast, You Made It Weird. I tried to do it in my comedy as much as I can. I had a joke about God that went viral, which I was very happy about, where I was trying to say,
I saw that.
Atheists say God is nothing, but it's kind of the same. Anyway, you can look it up. But the reason I do it is because I remember what it felt like.
Well, let's play it. Where is it?
It's on YouTube.
It's really good. I sent it to my husband yesterday when I was.
Oh, nice.
Okay, let's on YouTube. What should we look at?
God is no thing.
God is no thing.
I think it's
Pete Holmes' God
pinned.
is no
I think it's
thing.
pinned to the top of your Instagram, anyways, too.
Oh, nice.
I want to see this.
If you go on his Instagram.
Yeah.
But the reason I say it is because I remember what it felt like to have a yearning for truth and for God, but to feel like it's been co-opted by a whole lot of mess.
I could send it to you.
Did you find it? They got it. Is that it? Is that it?
That's it.
That's God.
I could send it if you can't find it.
God is no thing.
Oh, there it is. That one.
Which one? That one?
yeah.
Ask
the nothing,
Nothing?
people. People think God created the universe. Some people think nothing created the universe, which is the funniest guess. And the nothing people make fun of the God people. They say God doesn't exist. I'm like, okay, maybe. But you know what definitely doesn't exist? Nothing. That's the defining characteristic of nothing, is that it doesn't exist. So what are we talking about? Either you think it's God, something you can't see, touch, taste, photograph, and science can't prove, or you think it's nothing, something you can't see, touch, taste, photograph, and science can't prove. But I think we can all agree, if your nothing sometimes spontaneously erupts into everything,
That's a pretty goddamn magical fucking nothing, you guys. And ask the nothing people, what happens when you die? They'll tell you, nothing. You go into nothing. I'm like, you mean you merge back with your creator?
Wow.
That's heaven, bitch.
That's what.
Oh, that's a fucking amazing.
I appreciate it. That's. It's weird to say this, but I'm like, I'm happy that exists. If I'm remembered as that's heaven, bitch, that'll be fine with me.
In your rants about real life and religion and spirituality and just our pure existence, you're someplace between a brilliant stand-up comic and a brilliant TED Talk. Because that could have been part. That could have
been a TED Talk.
That seemed like it. Go ahead.
No, just something happens. I think in your 40s. I think comedians. Mike Birbiglia is one of my best friends, and he said something when I turned 40. Jackelyn, it was the same kind of idea. He was like, comedians are their best in their 40s. There's some brokenness. There's some humility. Post 40s.
Oh, okay.
Post-40s.
I said that was 2 decades ago for
me. No. It includes you because there's a certain thing that happens. I think the first 2 decades of stand-up are like, just be funny, just get out there, just be good at it. And then around that time, you start going like, well, not to be too self-important, but like, what do I really want to say? Like, it kind of dawns on you like, oh, people are listening. Is it possible? It took years to put that joke together because I wanted there to be laughs every 15 seconds, but I also wanted to talk about the most important thing to me. The longer version of the joke has a great quote from Barry Taylor, the road manager for AC/DC, where he says, God is the name of the blanket we put over the mystery to give it a shape. And in the joke, I go, shouldn't I have learned that in church? Why am I learning this from the road manager for AC/DC?
That's hysterical.
But that's it, man. Meaning, I know I've been quoting Jesus and using the God word a lot, but this is something that everyone's invited to. That's why I want to talk about it without shame and without fear. So that everybody's birthright is to ask the question, what is this? What's going on here? But the fact that that's been kind of compartmentalized, are you religious? That's for religious people? Bullshit, man. Your ticket to the conversation is the fact that you can hear my voice right now. That's incredible.
It's also to have, I think, sometimes organized religion is bullshit in the sense that people are doing it out of everything you speak about, and it doesn't matter what religion, out of fear of what might happen.
Yeah.
Whereas, so that's what religion is. I do this religiously. Well, I think that we are given the tools. If you believe in a power greater than us and you have respect for a power greater than us, regardless of what you call it or what you identify as God, I think that we are given the capacity to ask questions. And when you want to when that becomes the sin, when that becomes the problem, like don't ask, just accept.
Yeah.
Then I don't think you're doing yourself or your church or whatever it is that you are falling into.
Yeah.
I don't think you're doing them. That's not a service to yourself.
I agree. And I believe in a God that's big enough to know when you're kidding. When I say bitch, there was a time when I would have been like, you can't say bitch. That's what my mom said. She was like, it's not very reverent. I'm like, that's what you got out of it. You know what I mean? It kind of breaks your heart. Like you still,
but it does. But
you still can't see me because I said bitch. When meanwhile, Richard Rohr, Greg Boyle, these are priests that I know and love. They love that joke because it's not about bitch. You know what I mean? It's not about that.
It's not about language. It's not about words. It's about who you are. As a good human being.
Right.
If you are a good human being, a charitable, wonderful, empathetic human being that makes this world a better place because you are here, and you leave a legacy beyond whatever your actions are, but your children are your legacy. If you create a beautiful young woman who is here and makes everybody that she interacts with better because she's here.
Yeah.
That's an incredibly godly person, if you want to use the word godly.
Yeah.
That's what it should be.
Well, it's interesting, the nature of when I say, this is Rupert Spira, anybody listening that is looking for good time on YouTube, look up Rupert Spira. Rupert would say, we are awareness, right? We're the awareness. we are being itself, we are knowing itself. But then he goes further and he goes, what is the nature of that knowing? And it's spacious, it's open, it's kind. All of these things come from recognizing yourself, if that makes sense. The more you recognize yourself, the more you behave accordingly. When I was growing up, I was trying to act godly, and that's great. We'll take good behavior, we'll take kindness any way we can get it. But now, a lot of my good choices come from a recognition of our shared being. That the phenomenon that's looking out each of your eyes is the same one that's looking out of my eyes. And it's just kind of having this dream of separation. Well, then, you know what? I'm not going to fuck you over. And I'm not going to kill you. And I'm not going to belittle you or shame you. Because you start to, you know what I'm saying? It's like, at the beginning, I'm kind because I want to be like God. Later, as you go, you start recognizing your shared nature with the divine, and then that affects your behavior.
Do unto others as you would have them do unto you, you know?
That's a great place to start. And then later, when you realize the others are you, and that's why you're but I'll take good behavior no matter how you get it.
Right, but how can you be so, and we are, how can you be so self-absorbed, you know, to think that if I don't use the bitch word, and I don't, whatever rules your church is, you know, putting on you, then I'm a good person. Well, that's the last thing that makes you a good person.
Right. Well, for me, and that's why it's in my book a lot, it was all about don't masturbate. Like every kid I knew was just don't masturbate. And I had a joke about this in my special, Nice Try the Devil. I was really worried that Jesus would come back while I was masturbating.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was a real concern. I'm trying to relate to you.
You come and he comes.
Exactly, the second coming.
The second coming.
Yeah, I don't want to have, I used to say, I don't want to have my ham in my sandwich when Jesus comes out of the clouds on a flaming sheep. And he's like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? He was going to take me, but that
You'd
goes
stain
back.
his robe.
That goes back to the paying them the same. You can't divide in infinity. That goes back to all that's required is remembering who your father is. You know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying.
And you also brought to mind a David Bowie quote where he goes, religion is for people who are afraid of hell. Spirituality is for people who have been to hell. And I think I wouldn't be as interested in these things. I know I wouldn't be if I hadn't been brought to some painful places and realized that the external world isn't the place where happiness is.
No, and we all have to realize, you know, you look at everybody's life, everybody, I always say nobody's getting out of here alive, number one. And everyone, every single person, everybody you love, that little baby girl in your house is going to go through hell at certain points in life. It's just what happens. Yeah. We will experience loss, we'll experience illness, we'll experience doubt, so it's what is our coping skill? Is it that blanket?
Yeah.
Is that what you need? And if that's what you need, you know, I respect that.
Yeah.
But it's also pretty impressive to meet somebody who is kind of thought it out, put it into words, and kind of, you know, this is a lot deeper and a lot more interesting than I thought this episode would be.
Is this not the stuff you normally do?
This is not what he has written down on his notes.
No, it's not. I had a bunch of
JoJo Siwa stuff.
What was it?
JoJo Siwa. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What I was going to do
This is not what he planned.
It's not what I planned, but I'm so thrilled that you
This
took
is
me.
Jackelyn's Revenge. This podcast is the wrong name. Jackelyn's Revenge on Dad.
Yeah. Or what did Red Band call you? What's your name?
Bitch ass daughter.
Ratilda.
Ratilda.
Oh, Ratilda.
There's a podcast. Do you follow, you don't
follow
follow other
anything.
podcasts? You know who Red Band is?
Red Bar.
Red Bar. Red Band is at Kiltony.
Yeah.
Red Bar.
His name is Mike.
Mike critiques us a lot. Yeah, and he calls her Ratilda.
And there's Howie and his beautiful daughter, Ratilda. What is her name?
Anyway, I was going to show pretzel videos.
Wait, I ate into the show? Like, what? We didn't get to what the show was going to be?
Because the show is so much better than the pretzel video.
Okay.
No.
I like saying it. I not to be defensive. I'm saying it because, not just because I like to hear myself say it, I need to remember, and the thought that somebody might be like, I'm interested in God, I'm interested in reality. You don't even have to say God. I'm just walking around going like, what the fuck? I'm tired of talking about pants and the Super Bowl ads. What is this? What is it? And if there's one thing I can share is like, everybody's invited to that conversation. And you might have a different way of framing it, but don't, just because religion has ruined so many things, and it has.
And it continues too.
And spiritual people have ruined, like New Age, whatever. Just find your own thing. I believe that there's a yearning on both sides of the equation. You for reality and reality for you, and you can follow that.
Can I ask, are you, I know you've mentioned that you're vegan before. Is this because of your beliefs, your spiritual beliefs, that you've decided to become vegan?
You know, I became vegan the first time, and it was exclusively for health benefits. Like I like the way it made me feel. I like not worrying about whatever, heart disease or whatever it might be. So it was extremely self-serving. Mm-hmm. Then I briefly wasn't a vegan. And then the second time I became vegan, it was this, because it feels good to love. Honestly, I know that sounds corny. It feels nice to like have a loving act and think about animals as sharing the same consciousness as me. Meaning like there's a certain level of receiving of like, that's us. It's all us. There's nobody in the other boat. You can't kill something that's separate from you. And a lot of our bad behavior comes, to quote Father Greg Boyle, he goes, we forgot that we belong to each other. That's the whole thing. That's the problem, is we forgot we belong to each other. And I think that extends to animals. But I know that's hard. I always like to remind people I was not a vegan for most of my life. So, you know, there was 10 years or so. Don't feel judged. I just enjoy the feeling of going like, I'm not gonna do that.
Can I be your friend?
Yeah, man. Are you
serious.
a vegan?
No.
Oh, okay.
Which is
I
surprising,
maybe...
actually, because he has a lot of the same beliefs as you, I think, from talking to him my whole life. But he's one of those people that will see a spider, will never kill a spider.
Yeah.
Will never kill a fly.
But I'll eat them. I eat them.
But he'll eat.
No, I actually...
He's not vegan.
I see, I have a friend who eats so much meat, and same friend cried when a mouse was on a glue trap. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't think non-veganism is like a deeply conscious, like, fuck animals, I don't care.
Yeah.
Well, I won't eat them. I will fuck them. I like fucking animals is another way of showing them love.
You can. Yeah. I used to say
as
that
Richard
on stage.
Gere always said.
Poor guy.
I know.
I used to say on stage, I go, if you could fuck any animal, which animal would it be? And I'd point to somebody, and you know they don't want to play, and I'd go, for me, it's a dolphin. I'd love to 69 a dolphin. Well, the squeaky.
Because
dolphin have.
They do.
Yeah,
right?
they
yeah, they do.
Shit.
I know. We
You
shouldn't have
brought
said
in a
that
new
word.
level.
We could you bleep that word out? Bleep that word out.
Dolphin.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, I do like you.
I appreciate it.
No, but I'm saying I was a fan, and I know you, and I watch your stuff that you do. But now I think you're a good human being, and I really do want to be your friend. I'm going to give you my phone number, and if you ever want to just go out for coffee,
I would love to. You know who we have in common is Chris Mars. Do you know Chris?
I love Chris.
Chris Mars and
He's a great writer.
He's incredible. When I moved to Chicago, I don't mean to keep extending the interview here, but I'm just saying.
No, we don't have any out.
I
We
do.
have just another.
I have my son's class that I have to do. Just
You can leave. Go.
Oh my
Get out.
God.
No, it's
We're gonna
okay.
come as a friend. Do you have to go?
What?
Do you have to
no,
go?
No, I have a little bit more. I'm just saying you might not have it
This
out.
is
I
I have
have it
nothing.
out.
This is 2 minutes
Yeah.
to shout out C Mars. When I graduated from a Christian college, which is why people think I'm in the Christian circuit, because I performed there a couple times. And then I moved to Chicago immediately to do improv and comedy because I heard about Chris Farley, and that's how you get on SNL, is you go to Chicago. So I go to Chicago. All the doors, in the movie, they'd be slamming in my face because they have enough goofy, tall white guys that were the improv celebrity of their college. Believe me, there were hundreds of us. Every room was just me with 7 other me's. It was crazy. So I go to this place called the Playground Theater in Chicago, and I audition, and I meet Chris Mars, and we got on a team together called Run Faster. And I was and still a little bit am obsessed with Chris Mars. He's incredibly funny, and he told me he was working with you. So I was eager to tell you that we had that in common.
That's another great guy.
Yeah.
What should we plug? We'll plug the
If you like the spiritual stuff, my podcast, You Made It Weird, we always go into this kind of area.
Okay, wherever you get podcasts.
I like to say whomever you get your podcast.
Is it on YouTube also?
It's on YouTube as well. And then my book is called Comedy Sex God. There's no financial reason for me to say that, but I'm proud of it. And then
What do you mean, you don't make money?
I don't think so. I got one check for that and then we walked away. Never to speak of it again, which I'm fine with.
Right, but read it.
Yeah, but read it. I'm proud of it.
Okay.
And if you like the kind of stuff we were talking about.
Netflix?
And then my Netflix special is called I Am Not For Everybody. And I like to add some urgency. The way Netflix works is if people don't watch it, it'll get taken down. So I'm like, please watch it. Don't just say, I'll watch it later. If it doesn't get a good number, they won't renew it.
So here's what I'm going to say. That just to keep it on. I want them to keep it on because you're worthy of that and you're incredibly funny. Even if you don't have time to watch it, you already are paying for Netflix. They should just download it and press play and then walk away.
You know, there was a band that did that on Spotify. They figured what the shortest amount of audio time could be, a song. And it was something like 22 seconds. They put out 22 seconds of silence and they told all their fans to put it on repeat all night. I think they made tens of thousands of dollars and then Spotify figured it out and stopped it. But they did make a lot of money. I'm not asking you to do that. I just want to keep the show on the platform. So please, I Am Not For Everybody is the name of the special. And it has that God bit in there.
And we are, you subscribe to us. On YouTube, if you subscribe, we have a scratch and sniff button. The subscription button makes your fingers stink for a week.
Ooh, Trey Mandel.
And what else do I want to tell you? Come see me. I do stand-up still. And I'm going to be in Niagara Falls, right? And on May, when am I going to be in Niagara Falls? I don't know. Go to HowieMandel.com. I'm going to do a live show at Niagara Falls, in Kentucky, in Iowa. I know I'm all over the place. Are you still doing a lot of stand-up?
Yeah, PeteHolmes.com.
PeteHolmes.com.
Chicago. I'm going to be in Texas, Pennsylvania, and May the 4th. I'm here in L.A. For the Netflix Is a Joke.
I think this will be airing right after that because I'm here too on May the 4th.
Ah, fuck.
For Netflix Is a Joke.
It's me, you, and Mulaney at the bowl.
Are you doing the bowl?
No, Mulaney's doing the bowl.
Mulaney's doing the bowl. I'm doing
on May the 4th.
Me and Arsenio Hall are doing the Comedy Store.
Oh, that's great.
It is. Where are you?
It's called the Ebel Theater.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's a blender you were pointing at. That's the
I know.
proto. That's a hologram. People can come and if they don't want to drive in like you, they can.
It really is remarkable. I've seen a lot of tech, and a lot of times you're just pretending to be amazed. This is truly amazing.
At proto. So check that out.
At Modern Mammals, as long as we're plugging.
We'll just keep plugging. You want to end the show? Do you have something to say, Rich?
Magic Mind.
May 12th, we're in Niagara Falls.
May 12th, we're in Niagara Falls. And what is the thing that I'm supposed to say? No chafing? There'll be no chafing?
Yep.
Or?
It's a second skin.
I think no bunching.
No bunching. Man-made T-shirts that look good and underwear that doesn't bunch or crunch that feels like a second skin.
That's good.
Wow.
This
Thank
is Howie
you.
Mandel. Use promo code Jackelyn. But it's,
Okay.
for 10% added.
We'll put it
to
up.
your-
While you're saying this, it's up on the screen. Whatever it says on the screen, that's what you need to go to. Anyway, that's the end of our show, so press the music.
Okay.
You're great.
I'm going to pee in my pants.
Well, then go to the bathroom and don't. You know you're not wearing pants.
Well, I am.
I'm
These are
gonna
actually
pee
shorts.
my pants.